TV. Welcome to Daytime Ottawa here on Rogers TV. A great lineup for you today. We start, as usual, in the kitchen, but we're not going to actually prepare something in this first segment. David Godso is back. He's the executive chef and also the director of food and beverage at 18 Hospitality Group. Welcome back. Great to have you here.
Great to be back.
Are you refreshed? Did you get some time off over the holidays?
Got
Good.
a little bit of break. We shut down all the restaurants for 3 days over the Christmas, gave everybody a good break, had a wicked New Year's, and now we're just sort of starting the new year, getting the ball rolling.
Nice.
Yeah.
Today, though, we're going to talk, as we have been the last few episodes, talking about type 2 diabetes. And for people that, are just meeting you for the first time, some viewers, this has been quite a journey for you, especially, I imagine, as a chef, maybe more challenging than others out there.
Yeah, well, I mean, one thing that people mistake when you're a chef is that you're not a nutritionist. I'm very good at making people fat,
right,
and not necessarily making people healthy.
Right.
My wife always tells me, it's like, you can't cook like the wick you do at the restaurant at home all the time. So last time I was on here, we talked a lot about nutrition. So today I want to talk a little bit about exercise and the role that it plays.
So let's start, first of all, talking about the role of exercise. For someone that's living with type 2 diabetes, how important is that role of exercise?
It's huge. I mean, like I said, nutrition is a huge factor, and then exercise is probably the next biggest thing. It really helps in improving your insulin sensitivity, which is something that a lot of people with type 2 diabetes struggle with, as well as managing your blood sugar. It also will help you give you more energy, improve your sleep, improve your self-confidence. But it can be very daunting for people, especially people that haven't, oftentimes when you found yourself in the position like I was in when I was first diagnosed, severely overweight, really not very active. I played hockey every once in a while, but that was more of me just struggling around the ice for 50 minutes with my friends.
Right.
But it's important to start small and start with little things that you can do. The types of exercise that you really want to focus on are mostly aerobic exercises and a little bit of strength and resistance training. So things like swimming, walking. I know you're going to have someone later on the show talking about snowshoeing, especially this time of year, winter activities, cross-country skiing, any of those kind of sustained elevated heart rate exercises that you can do really help to level out your blood sugar and help your body metabolize sugar throughout the day. One of the things that I like to do every once in a while, my wife always laughs at me, but we'll be having what I like to call a potato day, where we're at home and we're just watching TV all day.
Okay.
And I'll just randomly get up and I'll start like hurry walking around the house, and she's like, "What the hell are you doing?" But it's just enough to get your blood flow, get the blood flowing, get some movement. And start that way.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned outdoor activities. Leslie Peace is here, and we're going to be talking about that with her. But I think, oftentimes we're like, the winter, and we're not looking forward to it. But when you start doing those outdoor activities during the winter, and you prepare properly, right? You dress in the layers, and you bring the little backpack along with you so you don't have to tie the jacket around the waist. It really makes it enjoyable, right? Instead of like, oh my goodness, I don't want the winter to come.
It's like anything in life, right? If you take a more positive approach and you look at the ways that you can enjoy something more than just how miserable it is and how dark it gets early and all that stuff, being able to get outside even in the cold is a great way.
Let's talk about sort of pre-exercise. Do you prepare yourself in any way?
Obviously, if you're unfamiliar with exercise or unfamiliar with working out, talk to your doctor first. That's normally obviously step number one. I'm not a health professional. I'm not an expert in this. Yeah. Talk to your doctor. If you can afford it, I highly recommend getting a trainer or someone, or even a friend of yours that can sign up with you at a gym or something like that to kind of have that, I like to call them an accountability buddy, somebody that's going to meet you there. I'm part of the Movati gyms. They have fantastic programming.
Yeah, they're beautiful.
Get yourself involved in some of the group classes that they have, like the yoga sessions, as well as like some light aerobics, anything that's comfortable for you. But I highly suggest people invest in like a pedometer or any sort of smartwatch that they have. It's a great way to track those, track some of the watches now have blood sugar trackers in them, which is crazy. But it's kind of nice to just see your progress and see your steps and see those things as you're going.
And sometimes, that's just a little bit of motivation you might need. I've got a Fitbit. I wear it, and then, if I'm sitting down for too long, it sort of reminds, hey, get up and do something. Sometimes I get angry with it. Don't tell me what to do. But it's also a bit of that motivation that you're looking for. And, when it comes to gyms, too, as you said, not everybody can afford it, a personal trainer. But if you do sign up for a gym, oftentimes they have that one-time sort of a personal trainer walk you through, right? You may not know how to use all the equipment. It's intimidating for a lot of people. So, if I would suggest if you're looking at a gym, make sure they have something like that available too, right?
Yeah,
Give you a bit of a tour. Let's talk about exercising at home. Because again, some people can't afford to go to the gym, but that doesn't mean you can't exercise. When it comes to things you can do at home, what would you suggest? What's worked for you?
So some things that worked for me, especially during COVID, was a good test for this because the gyms were all closed. You had to sort of maintain exercises. So a lot of body weight exercises. There's lots of resources on YouTube or even just internet research where you can just do simple body weight exercises, push-ups, sit-ups, wall sits, things like that to kind of get the body moving. If you have a treadmill at home, that's great. When the weather is a little bit nicer, going for walks outside. My father-in-law recently was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes over the last couple of years.
Okay.
He's done a fantastic job. He's a huge success story. He's lost a ton of weight. And what he does is every morning gets up, goes for a walk around the neighborhood. He's got a nice weighted vest. We go camping in the summer. We go for walks. Nice. And at this point now, he's outpacing all of us. He's just trucking along.
I love it.
Low cost, easy way to get the body moving.
And again, if you prepare properly, I mean, even during the winter, you'd be amazed how much energy it gives you.
Big time.
Right? Like if you start off in the morning doing that, I know some people aren't morning people, but I would just suggest give it a try for a week and see what kind of difference it makes.
Oh,
right?
It's funny. It seems counterintuitive. You think I'm going to tire myself out by going to exercise, but it's the opposite.
Yeah,
I find
complete opposite for sure.
Rejuvenated.
What about resources? People are looking for those community resources that are available out there that can help them through. Especially if you've just been diagnosed, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of anxiety and stress that go through that. Are there community resources available?
So, like I said, a trainer. Like I have a trainer that is he does specialize in some of the issues that I have with arthritis and some of those stuff. So finding someone like that is very helpful. But one of the best resources that we have out there is Diabetes Canada has a fantastic website with a ton of resources. They do summer camps, exercise programs, nutrition plans. They've really built it up over the last couple of years. That I use that quite a bit. And then seeking out anyone else that might be having a similar struggle. Like I talked about earlier with the having that accountability buddy. Between my father-in-law and I, we work as like accountability buddies. We go out, we go camping, we do a lot of family things together, and we can kind of hold each other to account on, maybe I shouldn't be having that extra old fashioned, or maybe I shouldn't be, diving into the candy when we're sitting around the bonfire. Maybe I should be, it's having those people to keep yourself accountable is big because it's difficult to do it on your own. So highly recommend people seek out someone who's battling the same battle.
David, one of the things you sent along with me was success stories. I'm guessing that's probably your father-in-law that you were referring to.
Yeah. And my father as well. He just recently had bypass surgery. Him and I are built completely differently. He's tall and skinny. I'm short and stubby. But he was the same thing. He changed his diet drastically. Got into better shape. Unfortunately, the heart issues were that's not something that he could avoid. But But he's someone who started down the path of type 2 diabetes and now has been taken off all of his medication.
It's a lot to do with mindset, right? And you have to do sort of a switch. I mean, personally, you mentioned your father. My dad's gone through a heart attack and 3 strokes, and there's nobody more motivated that I've ever met than my dad. He gets up and he exercises every day, and he goes for a walk every day, a 30 to 45-minute walk, even though he's got a walker. He's got that person to keep him accountable, which is his caregiver. Well, his caregivers, I should say. So it makes a huge difference having that. Coming up after the break, everybody, we're going to switch gears a little bit because David at 18 Hospitality Group has an amazing event coming up with some other chefs. We'll tell you about that right after this. Don't go anywhere.
This program is brought to you by Ignite TV. Now you're in command. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
With Rogers TV, you can cheer on the home team from the comfort of your living room. We'll head to the rink, the field, the court, or the pitch, so you don't have to. Tune in and cheer on your local amateur athletes on Rogers TV.
Summer days, summer nights, lots of things to do, places to go, and people to see. If you're having a few drinks, be sure to plan ahead and get home safely. We don't want to pick you up. Drinking drivers risk injuries to themselves and others and take chances with their license, their jobs, and their future. Remember what's at stake and choose your ride, whether you're the driver, the passenger, or the party host. Thanks for supporting sober driving. I hope we never meet.
Visit arrivealive.org to find out more.
Boom, 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 boom. $20. $20. Hi guys, it's Maggie, Mrs. Calabash and Derek, and whoa, we're back. Rogers Television, so please watch us on Rogers Television. We've just done our first show. It was Anytime Shrimp Special and an Asian salad. So please remember, Rogers Television, Mrs. Calabash cooks. I'll see you guys.
Learn all about the creation of the National Capital Region on The History of Ottawa, according to Phil Jenkins, on Rogers TV.
We talked about some great exercising and how to motivate you and get you out there and doing something. Not only if you have type 2 diabetes, of course, just in general, just getting out and movement is so important in our lives. But now we get to talk a little bit about food. We're back with David Godso from the 18 Hospitality Group, because you have a great chef event coming up where you're inviting some of the other chefs here in the community to come and join you, right?
Yeah, so January, typically slow time of year for us at the restaurant. So we're always trying to find programming that we can boost some sales, get some people in, do something exciting. Highly recommend people, if they don't normally go out this time of year, please go out. This is when restaurants really need your support. They need it a lot.
For sure.
But January 17th coming up, we have another installment of our 4 Chefs dinner. So it's a 5-course dinner. I got 3 chefs joining me, so me being the 4th chef. Jason Lauren, good friend of both of ours, from Essence Catering. John Kim, who's my chef at Restaurant 18. Alex Dunham from the Clarendon, and then myself. We like to use these as a way to elevate some of our chefs within our group, as well as bring in some outside influence. So we'll be doing this dinner in partnership with Rougy Duck Farms out of Quebec. Yeah. Fantastic group. They, their story originates 1875 in southwestern France. One of the original producers, or large-scale producers of foie gras. They brought everything to Quebec in 2005, and since has been a regular mainstay in any specialty grocery store. So what they do a really good job of, besides ethically raising foie gras as best they can, they do a lot of prepared products. So for people who are curious about that ingredient, they have a lot of easy gateway. I call it gateway drugs to the delicious food. Right. So they're coming on board with us to help showcase sort of 5 courses using their products.
So either duck or foie gras or duck fat and duck fat. Let me tell you. Yeah. Just use that on anything. Yeah. So
and they do a fantastic job of utilizing the whole animal. And we've done this. I've talked about this probably before on the show. We buy a lot of their products through Mariposa Farms, which is another distributor here in Ottawa. But they. We use the whole animal, so we're not wasting anything. We're using the fat, we're using the carcasses, we're using the breasts, we're using the legs, we're using the liver, using the heart in one of our dishes as well. So we can, we're really paying homage to the whole animal. Right.
You're gonna make a little something for us here today, right? That's on the menu.
Yeah. So this is I'm gonna be starting off the dinner with a nice smoked duck carpaccio. So this is the Magret duck breast. Okay. So same duck that's used in the production of foie gras. Flavors that we have going on here are basically smoked duck, cherry, and hazelnut.
When it comes to carpaccio, does that mean? I think a lot of people assume it means raw. Yeah. Not necessarily raw, though.
So typically raw. And in classic French preparations, you might sear the outside of it. In this case, we've brined it, cured it, let it dry a little bit, seared just the skin just to get a little bit of texture out of that fat. Okay. And then sliced it. So it's not cooked per se, like all the way through. Okay. So just going to be garnishing this up a little bit. So I have some hazelnuts that we've roasted with some brown butter. Okay. A little bit of preserved cherries. Like I said, we're going cherry hazelnut. Good. Yeah, so these are nice, like Luxardo style cherries that we make in house. This right here is a hazelnut oil.
Oh, okay.
A little bit of that. I'm going to switch out my spoons here.
All right.
A cherry vinegar, just to add a little bit of acidity to this. And a nice color as well.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
And then the next ingredient I have is kind of a neat one. Some would consider it like a superfood. It's great for boosting your metabolism as well as inflammation. It's actually bee pollen. So when the bees come back from collecting their pollen, they deposit these in the hive, and then they get harvested and collected. So very floral. Little bit of texture as well, which is nice.
Is there any sweetness to it?
There is a little bit of sweetness.
Okay.
So it's kind of funny. So the way they kind of seal it was with a little bit of basically their mucus, so to speak, which is sort of the early production of honey. So there's a little bit of sweetness of honey, mostly floral, a little bit of texture. Been used for quite some time, like I said, for like a lot of holistic approaches.
Right.
And then I have a little bit of endive here as well, and some pea shoots. And then we'll finish this with just a little sprinkle of salt.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Perfection. You're an artiste.
Yeah, nice little, simple, light dish. Some of the other chefs, we have Alex is going to be doing a seared foie dish. Jason's doing a magret duck breast with a potato mille-feuille. And then I've got my chef at 18, John Kim, is doing a really nice duck confit capelletti, which is a stuffed pasta dish. And then for dessert, we've collaborated together. We're doing an apple tart, and something that was sort of signature to me for a long time was the foie gras ice cream. So we're bringing that back for that as well.
Goodness.
So it's going to be a delicious course, $225 per person, with wine pairing. Tickets are available on our website at restaurant18.com, and we hope to have some people out. We have quite a few seats still remaining. So
excellent. I want to pick your brain quickly with duck, because I find it's one of those meats that's intimidating to people, right? Yes. Advice on preparing it at home, and what would you suggest people start with? Is it the leg? Is it the breast?
The breast is definitely the easiest to work with. Okay. You can treat it very similar to a steak. It depends on the types of duck that you get. But you really want to make sure you render out the fat first. Right. So unlike a lot of things in cooking, when you're, typically suggest scoring the fat on the duck breast, starting it skin side down or flesh side down, and then rendering out that fat very slowly under low heat. Okay. That's an easy preparation, super delicious.
And is that a matter of bringing up the heat slowly during that process? Like you put it in a cold pan and then you...
Exactly. Start in a cold pan and just leave it on like medium-low heat and just let time do its thing. The fat will start to render out. You'll be able to pour out some of that and then finish roasting it. And you want to cook it... my personal preference is cooking to like a medium, so about 130, 135 degrees Fahrenheit. I find it eats better. It can be a little bit more tough when it's a little bit raw.
Right.
Duck legs, oftentimes in the grocery store, you can even find confit duck legs already. Yeah. Those are delicious. You could
just throw it in the oven,
let it crisp up.
Follow the instructions, and you're good to go.
It's quite delicious. If you're preparing a whole duck, I find the whole duck can be very challenging for a lot of people because there's a big difference between cooking the breasts and the legs. Unlike chicken legs, like you can't just roast a whole duck and you can roast a whole duck, but it's just not as good. Okay.
So would you suggest if you got a whole duck, you would cut it up?
So what you see,
separate the breasts and the leg.
Like if you want to get a little fancy, the best way to do it would be to take the legs off and leave the breasts on the carcass, and then roast that whole. Because you want to get the bone really imparts a lot of flavor, and then you can cook your legs separately.
Very quickly again, David, the website to get tickets.
Restaurant18.com.
Restaurant18.com. There you go. David will be back in a month's time, right, to share some more great recipes and some great ideas for you. We'll be back with more right after this.
Perfect.
This is a brain in urgent need of mental health care. But because 3 out of every 4 Indigenous people experience racism in healthcare, she may not get the help she needs. Become an ally. Rise above racism in healthcare.
I was born and raised in Musqueam First Nation territory by my mother, who spoke Hunkaminam to me. As a child, I ceased using my mother tongue, as to use any language other than English was considered not being Canadian, so I was told. The old people came to me in a dream and reminded me of who I am and where I come from. I have reawakened. My roots are strong, and I'm no longer a silent speaker. My language tells me where I'm from. It defines me and guides me to teach others to learn and understand our culture and traditions. A gift for those in the present and the unborn generations. What was lost is found. What was asleep has awakened. My blood is here, and I am complete. I have returned home.
Join me, holistic chef Daniela Croco, for season 4 of Simply Cooking by Chef, right here on Rogers TV.
Welcome back to the show. Whenever I talk to my next guest, I'm always reminded of my childhood, just great memories. My brother and I, you know, doing models up and playing Dungeons and Dragons and, you know, painting those little figures and so forth. And it continues to have so many benefits. I know that, you know, we're trying to get our kids all into different types of things, and I cannot recommend enough getting your children into different hobbies. I will even say adults as well, right? Because we're so distracted with so many things. I am joined by Bill Chappell. He is the owner of the Ottawa Hobby Centre. Welcome back, Bill. Great to have you here. And I really mean that sincerely. Every time you come on, I think, wow, you know, back at the models my brother and I used to make, we used to do all these little scenes as well. My dad used to give us these pieces of plywood that we could, you know, build all these scenes on. You're coming up to what, 38 years now?
38 years in the spring, yeah.
Amazing. Congratulations,
Thank you,
Bill.
thank you.
Congratulations. For people that aren't familiar with the Ottawa Hobby Centre, tell me about your beginnings and, you know, what was your inspiration getting into the business?
Well, we started back in 1986. I was a big hobbyist myself, and if you're going to get in business for yourself, why not get into something you're passionate about? You need to have passion to be in business, right? So. And I found, as I say every time I come on, you know, I sell this stuff to make a living, but now I'm finding a big component is to sell the idea of doing it.
Right.
Because there's a lot of benefits to doing hobbies besides just the fact I make money, the fact that you get enjoyment, pleasure, stimulation, you know, hand skills, all kinds of benefits from
and you've mentioned it before too. You know, I started off with those, you know, childhood memories, but it's good for all ages. And you've talked about this before, about, you know, even working with veterans, for instance, right, over the years.
Yeah, people that have PTSD and stuff, gives them focus, gives them accomplishment. You know, there's a lot of benefits to creating things and you know, that enjoyment and sharing them with other people, getting together in groups to practice them. There's so many spin-offs.
Agreed. I saw you brought the moving van here, and that's probably a great segue in the fact that you did a move yourself, right?
I did. We just moved the end of September. We are now on 1916 Maryville Road. It's just south of Hunt Club, right in front of the Maryville Bowling Center. Now, how cool is that?
I said to you, I mean, what a great spot, right? Families going bowling. Hey, wait a minute, kids, let's head over to the Hobby Center after, or before or after our game of bowling. And you brought some of the pieces here that we're going to see at a festival that's coming up over the weekend, right?
Hobbies and Pastimes Festival.
Okay.
It's in Aylmer, Quebec. It's at the Galleries Mall.
Yeah.
So you go up to the end of Island Park, hang a left on the Rue Principale. It's, I think, 191 Rue Principale.
Yeah.
It's on Saturday and Sunday from 10 till 4. So because this is in a shopping mall, admission is free. So all ages, it's free.
Fantastic.
I really encourage people to go to this because if you're thinking about a hobby, if you're thinking about doing model trains or anything like that, here's the clubs, here's the stuff. You can see it, talk to people that do it, and learn all about it.
So the idea being there's just sort of kiosks throughout the entire mall. You just wander up and down.
Big giant train layouts. So we have train layouts of all scales. So say you're thinking about a train set. Do you want to go the little guy? Do you want to go the big guy? You can see these things all laid out, how much space they take. Talk to the guys, get the pros and cons, and decide what's right for you.
Yeah, and it's important to see the different scales too, right? Because I think, you know, for a lot of us, when we, you know, see those shows that perhaps on TV or in film, and you have, you know, the person's entire basement, right? filled up. You don't have to go to that extent. You brought some Lego along with you here as well, right? Which people probably didn't recognize right away that this was Lego.
Yeah, huge Lego display going to be there. Parlugment, they're called. Parliament Lego Users Group, I think they're called.
Really? Okay.
So you'll see Lego trains, Lego buildings, Lego everything. And Lego, when I was a kid, was a toy.
Yeah.
Now they make really good looking models. Like you say, these are Lego pieces. So, you know, as a hobbyist, we look at them more from the modeling side, and we think if you do this, well, you could do this.
Right.
Or do this.
Right.
It's a gateway.
So yeah, tell me, so the difference between sort of the Lego and this is sort of your traditional model where, you know, the glue and the paint and all that great stuff, right?
Detail and all that. Like, these are nice looking models, but at the end of the day, they're still Lego.
Yeah.
These things, you can make them as real as you like. There'll also be collectibles there. That's just an example of a die-cast car. They'll be there for sale. There'll be toys and little figures. There's usually comic books show up.
Right.
Games, family games, everything from depends who shows up, but there'll be a lot of variety. Bug collectors. You see these bugs, you know, the bugs.
That's amazing.
Pins. Crazy collections of pins. So anything you're into. There's been luthiers there with their violins. There's you know. Now, my advice to you is look at Sunday.
Okay.
The weather forecast sounds really bad for Saturday, but it is a 2-day event, so maybe plan for the Sunday.
Well, yeah, and I mean, if it is bad weather, going on the Saturday, like I've always said, my philosophy in grocery shopping, if it is storming outside, I go and do my groceries, you know. You have the place to yourself, so on Saturday, you may have the place to yourself. What's been the response to the new location so far?
Very good, very good. It's a brighter, more modern-looking store. It's right on Maryville Road. We were kind of tucked in the back when we were in front of Costco. Now we're right on the road, and you have to go by us to go to the bowling alley. So
right. Growth. I mean, what changes have you seen in the industry over these almost 38 years now, Bill?
A lot of people retiring.
Really?
And they're getting back into the hobbies. They remember, like you, doing them when they were a kid, the enjoyment they had. Now they have the time, they have the money, they're able to do it.
Over the holiday season, what was popular? What did you see flying off the shelves at the center?
A little bit of everything. We sold a lot of models. We sold a lot of trains. We do a lot of ladies. I'm pigeonholing, but like dollhouse miniature rooms and stuff. Those were really popular.
They've been incredibly. So if somebody, you know, is watching right now and they want to get into a particular hobby, what are some of the recommendations you would make as sort of a starter hobby for people at home?
A starter hobby. Well, it sort of depends what you're interested in. Like, do you want to be doing a model train? Do you want to build models? Do you want to build them out of wood? Do you want to build them out of plastic? You kind of get an idea of what you want, and then we can guide you. Or, like I say, come to this show and talk to the people that do it.
Yeah, and if you go around and have a look at everything, something could jump out at you. Sometimes you don't even know what you like, right? Until you begin trying it.
Wow.
How many vendors are you expecting at the festival?
There's usually about 20 to 30 of them.
Okay.
Like, I go there as a store, and I get to promote my shop. I don't sell a lot of things there, but I'm there to promote. And I try to get as many clubs and groups to participate, because I really believe in this thing as a way to showcase our hobbies.
Yeah, not just as selling, as the idea of just, you know, enjoying it and doing it. Bill, always a pleasure having you on the show. Thanks so much for joining us. Really appreciate it. Again, the Hobby and Miniatures Festival, Gallery Elmer, 191 Rue Principale out there in Elmer, January 13th, this Saturday and Sunday. And you can find the Ottawa Hobby Center on Maryville Road there, 1916 Maryville Road, and you can visit them online. We'll be back right after this. Don't go anywhere.
Was that 4 or 5? He's lost count and still thinks he can drive. Do you think he knows that when he is caught and charged with impaired driving, he'll lose his license and a lot more? If he gets in his car, he'll face costs exceeding $20,000. Does he realize he could have a criminal record for his choice to drive? And it could be much worse if he crashes. I wonder what he'll be thinking tomorrow.
Have a Holden one at 15.
Visit ArriveAlive.org to find out more. Arrive Alive. Drive sober.
You're watching an interesting local show on Rogers TV and you want to know more. That's when you head to RogersTV.com. Our website provides more information about our programs, our hosts, our schedule, and about how you too can get involved with Rogers TV. Visit us online at RogersTV.com.
Unbelievable. You just never see that. Oh, what a shot.
The OHL on Rogers TV.
clubs, leagues, and courts in every province and territory across Canada, squash is the sport for wall-to-wall fun, fitness, and friendship. From coast to coast to coast. Learn to play and you'll want to do it every day. Squash. Play inside the box.
Hi, I'm Sam LaPrade. I hope you join us here every single week on An Hour to Give. We're going to talk about community, philanthropy, and volunteerism. It's airing right here on Rogers TV.
Public transit, garbage pickup, parks and recreation programs, snow removal on your street. How can you stay informed about these and other important local services? Tune to City Council coverage on Rogers TV. See your community leaders at work on Rogers TV City Council coverage.
Welcome back to the show. This is a great segue after talking to Bill about, modeling and getting into things of interest. And if you want to get your kids interested in reading, and I can tell you this was something so important in my daughter's life, is not interested in reading, but as soon as I introduced her to comic books, oh boy, everything just exploded from there. And not just for children, but adults absolutely love comic books. I can say from my experience and my brother's experience, we've been comic book lovers our entire lives. My next guest is a writer, illustrator, creator of a great comic series, and it's called Ed Kills the Dead. And I should give everybody at home a little bit of warning. We're talking graphic novels here, so if you have somebody young watching right now and you're a little skeptical about when you hear graphic novels, just keep that warning in mind that we may be talking about blood and zombies. Pretty right, much. David? Yeah. Listen to David. David's like, yeah, pretty much. That's what. Tell me a little bit about your background, David.
So basically, I've been drawing my whole life. So my series, I've been working on it for the last 3 years. This is where I started taking my own work seriously. I kind of wanted to do my own thing because I've been working for other people, just more or less because my background is in animation. So
okay.
I used to work in more like kids cartoons.
Okay.
So I kind of started off with that for a few years, and then I got out of that, started doing more commission-based illustrations. And then it kind of led to the books. And then one day I had a client approach me. She's like, how do you feel about producing a comic book based on my dad? So I was like, that sounds kind of cool.
Yeah, no
so
kidding.
I kind of started off from there. So I did like a little short, 12-page comic. And they fell in love with it. And I just thought, might as well go and print off some copies. So I started with 50 books to start off, and then within a couple of days, I sold them all.
Really?
And it kind of convinced me. I'm like, okay, I must be doing something good here. So I kind of started from like one book, and then I immediately started jumping on book 2 because I felt like there's a lot of people interested in what I was doing. And I've always been interested in horror, like just zombies, anything.
Yeah.
Because I grew up watching like old 80s horror movies, so it's
Me too.
And like reading stuff from like Image Comics, which is horror based, so it's like anything in that genre is pretty much up my alley. So
when we use that term graphic novel, if people aren't familiar with a graphic novel, what does that mean exactly, David?
So a graphic novel is more like the hardcovers. So you're picking up books that are more like you're getting the full story of it.
Right.
Where comic books is more like an ongoing series. So. I mean, depending, like you get different people, like some people are more interested in the comics, they like the ongoing series. Whereas like, I kind of wanted to do both because just to appeal for everybody.
Yeah, we're just looking at one of the shots you sent along for us today. So,
that's my first issue.
Yeah, this is the first issue here that we're looking at? So what was the storyline?
So the storyline is very exaggerated. It's super,
Okay.
it's like sci-fi fantasy horror, so it's basically like, it just kind of jumps into the main event. So my character, very relatable. He doesn't have any superpowers whatsoever, but he comes across this super pill that gives him super strength.
Okay.
So that's kind of like how he defeats the zombies. There's a lot more to it, but the background, you get more into the history as you go along reading book 2 and 3. But what's cool about my book is I'm introducing like ghouls and monsters, so like it goes far beyond the zombies.
Right.
So I'm trying to interest other people that are into all that.
You mentioned sort of being inspired, growing up watching those particular type of film in the comic book world or in the the graphic novels world. Did you have sort of a favorite too that helped inspire you into this series?
So I grew up loving Evil Dead and like Friday the 13th, like your icons.
Yeah.
But Evil Dead was really up there for me because there's something about demons and just the supernatural stuff with witchcraft, Dracula, all that fun stuff. So I kind of wanted to blend all that together in my book and just kind of like make something different out of it. So
the process of writing and illustrating itself, did you come up with the character first or the storyline? Like what was your process in the writing?
It was really interesting because like going back to my client who approached me for making this based on her dad. So the premise was basically like the main characters are him and his daughter, who's actually my client who approached me. So I made them into characters in this book, and then I basically just kind of came up with the title. I'm like, I wanted something catchy, something that rhymes. So I thought like Ed rhymes with dead, so I was like, Ed kills the dead. And it was just simple like that. So people like something catchy, you know, when you read it. And it sticks to your mind when you read it too.
Do you still do those custom comics for people? Is that still something you work on, or is this more you've turned directly?
This is more or less what I'm focusing on right now. Okay. But
so how many in the series so far, and are you looking to expand upon it as well moving forward?
So basically, right now I got 5 issues.
Okay.
That I've produced in the last 5 years, or sorry, 3 years.
Okay.
And it's going to stretch into like a 10-part series.
Nice.
So I'm hoping for like something. I don't know if it's going to finish in 10 books. I'm hoping it does, but it just depends on how far the story progresses.
And if people keep being interested in buying the books and they're still interested in the series, who knows where it's going to go. You brought a couple of other books along with you here. Tell me about these ones.
So this is completely different than horror. So I'm also doing kids books. Okay. So these are chapter books that are produced through a local author. She does them in like French and English, but so these are more like for kids.
Okay.
So like the younger.
So are you illustrating these? Is that the idea?
So she wrote the stories, and it basically just illustrated like everything, like the jacket, everything.
Well, that is fantastic.
So yeah, those. The Shanlia one was produced about 5 years ago, and then my new one, which just released last month, was The Search for the Lost Crystals.
I know it's a long way off, but you're going to be at Brockville Fanaticon, right?
Yeah,
coming up in April?
April 28th.
April 28th, there you go. And if people want to find more about you and copies of your book, where can they find you?
So I have a main website. It's at edkillsthedeadcomics.com. So if you go on there, everything's there. There's also posters, and I can get custom shirts made, which I've sold a few. So I mean, there's other merch.
Yeah,
than
you
just
do some
my comics.
woodworking, I think, too.
Woodworking too, but that's more commission based. But
I see.
That's more like on the side, you know.
Right.
But my main focus is on my comic books.
Wonderful.
So,
well, congratulations on all your success so far.
I appreciate that.
Just amazing. I mean, the illustrations are absolutely incredible. Again, edkillsthedead.com. Easy place to find them right there. We'll be back with more Daytime after this. We're going to be switching gears coming up. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this.
This is a man's heart, a heart in desperate need of medical attention. But because 78% of Indigenous people experience racism in healthcare, he may not get the help he needs. Become an ally. Rise above racism in healthcare.
I'm Gagwege. My name means everything.
Tom Longboats!
I am Wolf Clan, Onondaga Nation. I've run many different races. I've run to survive and to be free. I've run to win for honor.
His people might be lazy, but this one's damn fast.
My people respected our runners, people who carried important messages from village to village.
I need a guide to the next post. Dispatch carrier, sir. I can get you there.
God's sakes, man, slow down. Who do you think I am, Tom Longboat?
No, sir. I am.
Running makes me feel alive. It's everything.
Tom
Tom Lambo was the first Indigenous person to win the Boston Marathon. He ran his way to international fame and became an inspiration to generations of athletes.
Join us for season 4 of Simply Cooking by Chef, Sunday nights at 8 o'clock, right here on Rogers TV.
With Rogers TV, you can cheer on the home team from the comfort of your living room. We'll head to the rink, the field, the court, or the pitch, so you don't have to. Tune in and cheer on your local amateur athletes on Rogers TV.
Welcome back to the show. As I said, we're switching gears for our next segment to talk about you and yourself and how you're feeling about yourself. And we've talked about New Year's resolutions on the show since we've returned, and not everybody perhaps should be looking at getting a New Year's resolutions and a new you. Well, I'm joined by Tina Fallis and Erin Albanese. They are both registered psychotherapists. Welcome. Great to have you both here.
Great to be here.
Tina, the two of you wanted to talk about sort of what you've seen at the beginning of the year clinically and what people are your clients are talking to you about. Mm-hmm. What are you talking to clients about?
Mm-hmm. So to your point about the New Year's resolutions, some people are coming in and feeling maybe a sense of like shame or a sense of like questioning themselves. And sometimes the New Year's resolutions can cause someone to feel like they're not enough in the present.
Right.
Like I'm not enough now, I'm not worthy in the present, I'm only will be enough if I achieve this objective or achieve this goal, or I have to be a new version of myself. And so really wanting to reinforce the point that, it's great to have objectives and that growth mindset, but it's also really important to recognize that you are enough now in the present. It's not, when I lose those 5 pounds or I get that car or I get that job that I am enough.
Right. So, Erin, what happens then to us psychologically when we think in that way? I need to lose that weight and I need to do all of those things, and if we don't achieve it, I imagine it's a bit of a disaster for us mentally, right?
It does definitely take over, and we certainly see clinically being able to reframe something like a new year, right? We hear that catchphrase all the time, new year, new me. If that works for people, great, run with it. And there's a lot of people that it doesn't work for. And so when we can reframe, what does this new time we want this time to look like? What do we want to focus on rather than coming from a place of lack, what we need to improve, what could be better. It's more about what do we want to embrace, how do we celebrate the long way that we've come, and what do we want to focus on moving forward.
So Tina, with clients, how do you convince them of that, right? Because we all have that sort of cynic, and somebody that was on the show a few months back told me I should name my cynic so I can actually talk to it and go, stop that. Right. But I mean, how do you refrain it? I mean, it's easy enough for me to say, to myself, okay, just change your mindset. How do you help clients through that process?
That's a great question. So, I mean, one of the things in what you're speaking to is sometimes we hold negative core beliefs. So it's delving down deeper and understanding, like, what is that negative core belief that I'm holding? So, for example, is it a core belief that I'm not enough? And so addressing that, where did that come from? Is it from family of origin? Is it through experience? Is it through trauma? So really delving down and understanding, like, where is the genesis of that? Where's the origins of that? And then to your other point about speaking to that critical part, we exist in many parts. And so we do all have that critical part. So naming different parts of ourselves and sort of negotiating with those parts and helping us move forward and saying, I have this critical part, but, what do I need to quieten that part? Or what do I need to help, move forward and address this part? Whether it's my way of thinking, my way of behaving.
Erin, something that you sent along, you and Tina sent along, was find a word or a focus that you want more of this year. To break it down and find that particular word of focus, how do we go about achieving that?
Absolutely, great question. Well, and also we can pose it to you too, Derek, right? Okay. Not to put you on the spot.
No, go ahead.
But to put you on the spot. No, it's about, again, coming from a place of celebrating where we're at, and to Tina's point, right? Knowing that we are enough could be what do we want more of moving forward? Maybe it's joy, maybe it's peace, maybe it's self-love. How are we going to use any decision making
with that as the foundation, right?
And
Focusing
it's
on that.
interesting too, Tina, what Erin's saying, and she did not mention one material thing in that, right? Because I bet you when you propose that to many clients, what do you want, more of? What's going to come to mind for many? Money, bigger house, travel, whatever. Is it important to make sure that we leave the material part out of it and focus on just the mental side of things?
I think it is, right, in terms of what brings you value, right? What, in terms of your inherent value as a human being, right? And you tie that to your meaning and purpose in life. So where do you derive that from? Is it from connection with family? Is it about your intimate connections with your friends? Is it about your intimate connections with your partner? So really, again, delving down deeper, because those things are very, they come and they go. The cars come and go. The houses come and go. Clothes come and go. Jewelry comes and goes, right? So really understanding, like, what gives you meaning and purpose? Where do you derive value from, and connecting it to those meaningful, tangible things?
I want to go back to that sort of new year, new me. And Erin, maybe you can speak on this. Just what are the dangers of putting that kind of pressure on yourself? Okay, you know what? My New Year's resolution is I'm going to be a new me. Doesn't that take away from who you've been all this time?
Precisely, Derek. That's precisely it. And it focuses on, again, what we don't have or where we need to improve, rather than embracing how far we've come. I mean, everybody's on their own journey. I can speak for myself that I'm not going to say that I'm going to be my best self because I wasn't January 2023.
Right.
I'm just evolved, right? And everybody shows up doing the best they can with what they have, where they're at. And I think clinically we say that to just about everybody we see. And it's important to again, embrace that, right? We're all just showing up doing our best. And so even to the extent of, those materialistic goals, right? The money, materialistic. It's what's the root of that, right? Is it because this new job or this whatever car is going to make me more worthy, right? You can like a car and have a car, great.
Yeah.
But if it's because you're not of value enough without it, then that's where we want to get curious.
If you're trying to impress others or even impress yourself, oh, look at, now I have the new 2024 electric vehicle, whatever. During the break, you'd mentioned your podcast, Tina. Tell everybody at home a little bit about your podcast.
Yes, thank you. Yes, so Erin and I have gone on this podcast journey together. I thought of the idea and invited her to join along, and she had been thinking about it as well. So we've joined together in this podcast journey, and we have 5 episodes so far. Okay. And it's really based on mental health, but we also bring in parts of ourselves. It's authentic, our own journey, and also what we're seeing clinically. So giving people sort of an inside window into what we see.
Where can people find it?
So we're on Instagram and Spotify and YouTube, and so it's called The Tea Steeped.
The Tea Steeped.
Right, but the name of the podcast is The Tea.
Excellent. Yeah. Thank you both. Really appreciate your time today. We'll be right back after this. Don't go anywhere.
Thank you.
For 25 years, you've been helping to make our roads safer by doing the right thing. You've been the designated driver, you've stayed over, called home, you've called a cab or a friend, and planned ahead. Let's keep doing the right thing. Support sober driving by getting yourself and your friends home safely.
Do the right thing.
Visit ArriveAlive.org to find out more. Arrive Alive. Drive sober.
Learn all about the creation of the National Capital Region on The History of Ottawa, according to Phil Jenkins, on Rogers TV.
I did it.
I need it.
Here, I gave it.
And I am alive.
As an organ donor, you can save up to 8 lives and enhance the lives of 75 others. Please go to our website. Pledge a gift of life. You'll be glad you did.
Join me, holistic chef Daniela Croco, for season 4 of Simply Cooking by Chef, right here on Rogers TV.
Welcome back to the show. We talked about this a little bit earlier on the show, and that is, sort of embracing the winter and getting active and why it's important to remain active. And for a lot of people, they find the winter time a difficult time to get out and enjoy things because they think perhaps they have to have a lot of equipment to do outdoor activities. That's not necessarily the case. And my next guest will inspire you to get out there and enjoy yourself. I'm joined by Leslie Peace. She is a personal trainer at Leslie Peace Fitness. Welcome back, Leslie. Great to have you here.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, we want to talk about staying active in winter, and I like to talk about sort of, you grew up, I guess, in an environment, right, where you were outside and enjoying the outdoors. Tell me a little bit about that and how it's remained with you all these years.
I think the one thing I'd probably go back on was we did a lot of stuff as a family to have fun. So you didn't think about getting out in the winter as being a chore. So going for a cross-country skiing, or even just playing in the snow, taking the boulders from the snow banks and making, cool snow forts and all that kind of stuff. And I would say, like, my parents, I was so lucky, instilled being active and having fun. But I'm finding now as an adult, if I do stuff with people more, like it's a planned activity, it's a lot less painful when it's cold.
Yeah, and you mentioned cross-country skiing. You and I were talking before the show in the green room, the fact that, how this has exploded with so many different opportunities to cross-country ski in the Ottawa-Gatineau region now, right?
Oh, we're so lucky. And I love cross-country skiing because it's a little bit better for cost. You do still need to get a pair of ski boots and skis, but you're not having to get a really expensive lift ticket every time. And you could even go to a local park. I mean, our trails around here are beautiful and amazing. I think they're some of the best in the world. But it's nice because if you want to do it as a family, and I know we're counting our pennies a lot more, it's something that's a little bit more sustainable for a pastime.
Yeah, and not only that, I mean, you can find things that are more affordable now too, right? You don't necessarily have to go to a retail store and buy brand new, right? There's used equipment out there. People are giving away equipment at times.
Yeah.
There's Facebook Marketplace, places like that, right? For people that think, well, I can't even afford the equipment. You may be surprised, right, what you can find.
Even for me, when I started getting into snowshoeing more during COVID with a couple of clients, I wanted some extra pairs of snowshoes, and my budget was probably limited. So I talked to a few neighbors, and they had snowshoes they weren't even using. They're like, I'm happy if you use these. So, if their kids came down for a couple days, I'd have to give them back. But it was a very affordable thing. In my own neighborhood, I found a few people had some lovely treasures in their basements.
Nice. I love. Actually, here's a funny, just quick personal story. We have a cottage, and we have 4 opportunities where if you need to bring something to the dump, there's 4 times per year. One year we brought something to the dump, and there was a perfectly good pair of snowshoes just sitting aside that I guess they were gonna, just throw away. We brought them home, and they worked perfectly. There's absolutely nothing wrong with them, right? So why snowshoeing? You mentioned during COVID. Was that kind of your introduction to snowshoeing?
So I was super lucky during COVID. I had a boss who, for fun, decided one day for a lunch hour meeting that we had to go out snowshoeing. So we had to meet at her house, and we had someone show up in a pair of running shoes and jeans. Most of us had boots on, but they were even able, I wouldn't recommend snowshoeing in running shoes and jeans, but the trail was nice and smooth. So everybody of all different levels, whether you were an outdoor person or not. And the neat thing for me as a personal trainer, I have so many clients of different levels.
Right.
Some of them are really active. Some of them are completely new to it. Some of them hate winter. Some of them love winter. So what I loved about snowshoeing was I could have all the different levels of people come together. You didn't have to, if you had size 8.5 boots and I had 10, it didn't matter what size your feet were. It was a little bit easier. I mean, you can get a specific pair of snowshoes for your weight and height.
Okay.
but you don't have to. They're pretty flexible.
Well, you brought some along too.
Yes.
I mean, this is the modern snowshoe. And you and I was joking with you earlier, like when I grew up snowshoeing, and I remember at elementary school they'd have those contests where you'd have to run and do a race in a snowshoe, and you'd literally, I think the teachers did it because they wanted to see the kids face plant, because seriously, kids did all, and we had the best of times, right?
Yeah, it was fun.
So this is the more modern, I guess. What it's lighter, easier to put on.
Yeah,
that kind
super
of thing.
easy. Those ones are very basic snowshoes. Like they've got a clip at the back right here.
Right.
You can pull this in and out. There's some more, like I'd say this is like a great entry level. You can get more expensive ones that have a metal clip, so that if you were going for like a 10K hike, they're going to stay on a lot better.
Right.
But,
and then a great grip, right, in the back as well.
And I mean, there's different types of snowshoes. So if I was going on a groom trail, I might use a different pair than I would in really, really deep snow.
Okay.
And then depending on your weight and height, you can play with a bit with the length of the snowshoe. So it just depends on how serious you're getting into it. But for most people, I find they just want to get out. They want to be active. You don't need top of the line equipment. And you could throw a pair. I should have brought some poles today. If you want to get a little bit of nice arms in.
Yeah, it helps with your balance too, right? For those that perhaps even just starting out. Very quickly, you have Zumba classes that you offer. Big demographic for us as seniors that watch the show, and you specifically target seniors, right?
Yeah, so Tuesdays at 1 o'clock at the Manotick United Church, I teach a Zumba Gold class. It's super fun, low impact, and great for active seniors.
Excellent. Well, real pleasure having you back on the show, Leslie. Thank you so much. And I hope we've inspired some of you out there to get outside and get active during the winter. As long as you dress properly, you bring don't forget to hydrate. Even though it's winter, you still have to continue to hydrate. We'll be back with more Daytime right after this.
You're watching an interesting local show on Rogers TV and you want to know more. That's when you head to rogerstv.com. Our website provides more information about our programs, our hosts, our schedule, and about how you too can get involved with Rogers TV. Visit us online at rogerstv.com.
Unbelievable. You just never see that. Oh, what a shot. The OHL on Rogers TV.
Hi, I'm Sam LaPrade. I hope you join us here every single week on An Hour to Give. We're going to talk about community, philanthropy, and volunteerism. It's airing right here on Rogers TV.
Public transit, garbage pickup, parks and recreation programs, snow removal on your street. How can you stay informed about these and other important local services? Tune to City Council coverage on Rogers TV. See your community leaders at work on Rogers TV City Council coverage.
Hey, welcome back to the show. All right, let's talk about some of the things we talked about on the show today. Big thanks to David Godso for joining us from the 18 Hospitality Group. Don't forget that amazing chef's dinner, 5-course dinner, wine pairings for all 5 courses. He's got some guest chefs coming in. That's happening at Restaurant 18 on January the 17th. Still some tickets available, so visit restaurant18.com to get your tickets for that one. The Hobby and Miniatures Festival happening at Gallery Elmer. That's located at 191 Rue Principale. Don't forget, that's a mall, so it's free entry. There's parking available there as well. Going to have tons of vendors showcasing different hobbies and comics and you name it, collectibles. They'll have plenty there for you. Again, that's happening this weekend, January 13th and 14th. Tomorrow's show is like an all-star lineup. Contractor Ryan is back on the show. Jeanette Ewan is coming on the show. She's got some great ideas for alcoholic cocktails, non-alcoholic cocktails. She's going to talk a little bit about exercise like we talked about on today's show. And the Mini Pops, you may remember them growing up. Well, they are coming for 2 shows. They're going to perform live right here in studio. We'll see you next time here on Daytime.
Connect with us by visiting our website or email us at comments@rogerstv.com.
I'm Meg, and this is Fit Finley, and we're from Fit Over 50. Join me for a new season, which is full of awesome workouts designed for adults 50 plus. Improve your motivation, your strength, and your energy. Join me for a new season of Fit Over 50 exclusively on Rogers TV.
Join us Monday to Friday on Daytime Ottawa as we showcase some of the fabulous things that are happening in your city. We'll showcase